What's up, guys? Andy with Vest Pocket Management. I'm here for episode 8 of In the Pocket with Jordan, also known as Doc Knox.
How we doing, y'all?
So awesome. I'm excited to have you on because I've been to a couple of your shows, really hinging within trap and sometimes deviating from, right? But really cool trap producer in the house this evening. We're going to put a ton of originals and IDs, flips, edits on the Rude Boy rig, and we'll get to talk a little bit before that as well. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for a little bit of an introduction right there. I appreciate the trap shout out right there. I like to do a little bit of lo-fi, and obviously some of the guys that I've collaborated with, a little bit of dubstep. It's kind of how the looks kind of go, but I hopefully can play a couple of trap sets or songs that give a little bit of insight and give off some of the good vibes.
That's awesome. And you and I having probably, I would say, in very many situations, similar tastes. How long have you been listening to just general electronica, dance music? How long have you been a connoisseur?
Might age myself here a little bit,
okay.
But probably about 2012. So what is that? About 13, maybe almost 14 years. First show slash festival, EDC 2014, I think. Okay. Yeah, so a little experience right there. So I've been in the scene for a bit and been kind of seeing how it's evolved a little bit over time.
It has, and you see a lot of changes, but a lot of similarities that happen within the scene. I started very similarly, been to a lot of shows starting in 2010, 2011. I'd done rock and like hardcore stuff before, but when I got into EDM and electronica, all these different types of synthesized music, I was like, okay, this is wild. And so my first festival was Hangout 2013.
Okay, so it's a little bit ahead.
It's
what kind of a festival is that? Is that more EDM?
So Hangouts changed over the time. So it started when I was there, 2013. That was their 5th or 6th year doing it. Mm-hmm. They at that point they'd already had Trey Anastasio come in, Widespread. They had Pretty Lights. Awesome lineups. Family friendly. Anyone under 10 got in for free. So like it was just a really good vibe.
Okay.
Since then, 22s or 23s lineup also had stages that were sponsored by Sheen and other companies, and so you kind of get that vibe. After that point, you go in and you never saw vendors. You saw just a Sheen booth, and you're like, this is weird. This year, it was not Hangout, Music Fest. It was Morgan Wallen's Sand in My Boots.
Morgan Wallen's Sand in My Boots?
Yes, it was a country music festival.
Really?
Yes.
Is it so has it evolved from like EDM? Or
I guess so. I didn't know how that festival turned out this year. I hadn't done the research, so guys, if you know what happened, how it went, let us know. But I would like to see the old Hangout come back.
I feel like that's kind of how, like, I dare to say it, but like Bonnaroo has kind of popped up. Like you can kind of see, like I've heard it's been very like.
You said we weren't going to talk about Bonnaroo.
I know, bro. I know. If you know, right? Like it's very like, hey, there's some maybe pop artists, right? You have some rap artists. I mean, I think I saw Dolly Parton one year, and now it's kind of more so evolved into kind of like an EDM festival. There's been a lot more EDM artists there than I've normally seen in the past, and from what I've seen, it was like, hey, if there's one or two EDM artists going there, you can kind of, like if you know, you can kind of go catch that. Right. But now, I mean, there were so many stacked this year, so I can kind of get how what's popular now has kind of taken over the audience that they're attracting to come to these festivals.
They have said that electronica and within that just EDM, dance music, dubstep, from techno all the way through, they've seen a massive increase in bookings at all genre festivals like Coachella, Bonnaroo, all the other ones. So I enjoy hearing about different festival experiences. We are not talking about the festival that should not be named.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
He promised me he wouldn't talk about it, and then he dropped the B word.
That's the first thing I thought of, though. Like, I mean, like I can tell it's changed. I can tell it's changed a bit over the past few years. Like
maybe it meant to get rained out. Huh?
Yeah, maybe so.
Moving on. I have really enjoyed the last couple sets I've seen with you. I know opening for Mystic Sound in the last year. That was an awesome set. We've also seen some great local shows from you. Your Drop Exchange set on the Wooks of Wall Street YouTube is so good. Tell me a little bit about what made you decide to go into trap as a genre, and what do you want the Doc Knox brand and the Doc Knox vibe to be known as?
Man, you hit me with some hard questions right in the beginning.
Come on.
I grew up on like a lot of the early 2000s, maybe early 2010s rap, hip hop, and kind of pop genre. Sure. So like Nelly, Eminem, 50 Cent, and then as you kind of get more into like trap, right? Like Waka Flocka, Gucci Mane, and then the more modern trap where you kind of go to like 21 Savage and kind of peeking on out a little bit, right? Like music has kind of evolved to where the vocals are more so a support factor to the song as opposed to like an actual like lyric. Sure. I people give a lot of criticism and hate towards mumble rap, but it gets people hype. And it's more utilized now as an ad lib or an extra sound to the song. So I always liked the evolution of that. And so I kind of grew up on kind of the rap, hip hop, trap kind of vibe. And I like trap so much more than, say, maybe house or maybe dubstep, where, hey, the kick and snare combination is maybe 1, 2. The snare and kick combination is a little bit more ambiguous. And so you're not necessarily at mercy to stepping 1, 2 the entire time. Sure. You have a little bit of creativity towards the swing aspect of it. And so I always liked that a lot. Producers like Flosstradamus and Arl Grime, Alice in Wonderland, Paper Diamond, Gladiator.
You're naming good ones.
Some of the old school ones that I listened to, even Yellow Claw, right? Like in the early, 2010s, mid 2010s. Those are the people like the festival trap that I kind of grew up listening to. And so that kind of inspired me a little bit. Studying in college too, kind of listen to the Lo-Fi Girl, right? Ryan Celsius is another kind of artist that I like to listen to a lot that gives kind of the trap but lo-fi kind of combination vibe. So that's kind of what I like to incorporate. It's what I like. It gives more creativity, or at least in my opinion, for my best interest, it gives kind of creativity towards having some ability to dance and kind of use the trap arms, right? That's kind of like my favorite thing to do. That's what kind of inspired me, those artists right there, and that's what I try to incorporate into my songs. So as far as kind of like the Doc Knox brand goes, incorporating that into my style, I also like to flip songs that I really like and incorporate some music theory aspect to what I do. I grew up playing the saxophone for 9 years. Cool. And kind of self-taught piano for a little bit. So
you're tall enough. Are you the sax squatch?
For the longest time, I was so tall that I had to I had to play the baritone saxophone, but it was too heavy for me because I was a scrawny little man. The case that I brought it in probably weighed the same amount as me. So I was lucky enough to do the tenor saxophone after that. Got into jazz band for a bit, learned a little bit about swing and music theory, and so incorporated that into kind of my style, because trap is more predominantly, I guess, horns and maybe sometimes repetitive loops of melodies. So that's kind of what I like to do. That's what I've incorporated into it, and that's kind of where I see the brand going. I don't know, very, very lo-fi, very trap, very something to get up and kind of dance to. Yeah.
Inside the trap house and then out into the trap yard, right?
How long you practicing that right there?
I made it up on the spot. This is where we get creative, right? So, where did the Doc Knox name come from?
I'm not gonna lie, it's not inspiring at all.
So having a uninspiring or uninspired name is not necessarily a bad thing. I met San Holo once, and I had to ask him. I was like, "Why? How did you get the name?" He's like, "Well, it actually I don't even like Star Wars." And someone, because my name is Sonder, they said, San Holo, and then it stuck. And it's like, oh wow. So, is yours lamer than that?
So when I grew up, my nickname used to be Junebug, and that was like my first initial like name. I liked it, but like the type of music I was making, it sounded too childlike or soft, right? And so I always loved the name Knox. I feel like Knox was kind of an alter ego of some sense, and I tried to think of like what is like a cool last name, and I tried to think of what are the coolest last names I knew. There was a guy I went to high school with, and he was one of my best friends. He's a pretty cool guy. His last name was Taylor, so I was like Knox Taylor. I was like, that's the name right there. That's gonna stick. That's my alter ego. And I don't know. At some point, I didn't like the way it sounded. Right? Some people abbreviate artists' names when they're gonna go see them, and I was like, we're gonna go see Katie, right? And that sounds like a name in itself,
right.
And I was like, I can't have that, right? KT. So I was like, I need to adjust it, but I want to keep the name Knox. And I literally remember messing with someone's beat one time. Because of the music theory background that I had, I was able to kind of put some of the notes that they had and make it in key. And I kind of fixed it right up. And they're like, man, you're like the doctor. You just fix it up. And I just kind of subtly thought, like, Doc Knox, right? Like, it kind of rhymes. And honestly, I was at Bonnaroo, and I don't know, maybe had too many White Claws, and I was like, Doc Knox, we're gonna stick with it, we're gonna do it. And like, it's one of those things where you just kind of just take a leap of faith, and the longer you run with it, the more it kind of sticks. Right. So that was kind of one of the names that I just was like, you know what? It sounds good, it rhymes, it's easy to say, and every time I make a set, it's like you visit the doctor's office now. So
yeah, see, that gives you, in and of itself, a good amount of branding, theming. To step on that, whenever I've heard your name, Doc Knox, I always think of Fort Knox. I think of this like vault of just gold bars.
Oh, you're too kind, man. Yeah. You're too kind. You're hyping me up right now.
Yeah, right?
It's not as cool as yours, though, or at least it's not as creative. I love the brand that you have, the Andy, right? And the way that you did it, too. Like, tell me, it's Toy Story inspired, right?
It is. So for those that for those that don't know, whenever I DJ, I do Dandy, and so all caps Andy, backwards N. In college, I had a big party house, and I always told people, do not fall asleep with your shoes on in my house. And so if one of my friends would pass out on the couch, they would have their shoe on, I'd take it off, grab a black Sharpie, write my name on the bottom of their foot, put their shoe back on. A couple days later, they'd be like, bro, I found what you did. And I said, I already told you, don't wear your shoes and fall asleep in my house.
For real,
they learn. They learn.
Hey, these are Jordans right here. For y'all, you can't see it. These are Jordans. Like, my name is Jordan. You gotta sign Andy on the bottom of it.
If you want, we'll do it. We'll do it.
I'll let you do it. Hopefully, it doesn't wear off though as I wear them.
It will for a little bit. I'll do touch-ups. So we are also going to be getting right around a 30-minute set on the Rude Boy rig. I'm excited to hear it. We had a little sound check earlier. I am really excited about the flip you're going to be doing later. It's a nice classic track, classic rock track that I grew up on, so to hear that'll be fun. Tell me, what songs are you excited about coming out with in the future? What releases do you have coming up? Tell me a little bit.
So I'm a big fan of doing flips. I like to make original tracks, right? But sometimes I've seen, especially attending festivals, when people can hear a song that is something that they recognize, they pay a little bit more attention. And when you can hear a version of it that matches the style that you like, it just gives a little bit more of kind of I don't even want to say a serotonin or a dopamine hit, right? But it engages you a little bit, and it's nice to see. And in this world of kind of creative freedom, right, you can kind of do that. Some of the ones that I've kind of flipped that I haven't released, I have a Justin Timberlake Crimea River flip. I'll be playing a little bit. It's kind of a little bit of like a lo-fi trap kind of a song. with my own kind of a twist to it. I also grew up on 80s rock. My dad listened to a lot of it. And whenever we used to drive to like baseball games or something like that, I swear, every time we used to always listen to either Whitesnake or Billy Idol. Like, just grew up on that. And Iron Maiden was another one of those. One of my favorite things to try to do is to turn metal into EDM, because a lot of the guitar riffs are very, they're nice, right? They have some sort of creative slur to it to where it's still in key, but it blends into the main theme of the song. And I took an Iron Maiden song and kind of flipped it into a early 2010s kind of a trap style. And I think the one that you're referencing too that I'll also play is the Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yeah.
The Break the Chain. That one's the one that I am probably most proud of. It comes out this Thursday, July 10th. Funny story on how it actually came out. My girlfriend didn't believe that I was a very good DJ. She didn't think I was a good producer at all. And I told her, I was like, no, I play. I make music, right? She didn't think I made some of the stuff. So she was like, you should make something. And I was like, okay, give me any song, challenge me a little bit. And she said, Break the Chain by Fleetwood Mac. And I was like, okay, bet, I'll do it. I'm not going to lie. It took a little bit of time to try to figure out how to do it, but she didn't think I could do it. And I proved her wrong. And now it's one of her favorite songs. I've showed her along the way. She's going to hate me for this because this is a total lie. But I'll play it tonight. It has a symphonic kind of style to it in the intro, a little bit of a trap type of feel with the kick snare combo I was kind of mentioning. And then it has kind of a dubstep trap kind of a drop. So it's one of my favorite ones. Comes out July 10th.
That's awesome. So by the time we've released this video, it'll be out. So go on to SoundCloud. I'll do my best to put his SoundCloud link in the description of our YouTube video so you can enjoy it. Super excited to hear this set. It's still best.
I've got a question for you, because how old are you?
35 and a half.
You're 35 and a half, so I'm almost 33. So you've probably been around the EDM scene a long time. What's the biggest thing you've seen change around like the festival scene, right? Because I mean, you've probably been around 10 to 15 years, right? I mean, I've been in the same way. I've seen ridiculous amounts of things change with it.
So a lot of the things that I've seen change, and a lot of people won't talk about it. Cancel culture was not what it is now, what it was a decade and a half, 2 decades ago. Heck, even for rock stars, the amount of things that they did, and you know, so I'm so glad that people care. So glad people care. But when you mess with someone's livelihood and you put something out there, you better have the facts.
More so are you saying like, hey, false allegations?
Yeah, and even
for artists, or like, hey, the way people act at festivals?
Right. I think 110% on all angles. I think yes to both of those questions.
Yeah.
Where there is always, and I noticed this when I lived in Nashville, the moment you add more people to a culture, in any form or fashion, there are going to be things that come from the mainstream that dilute the overall message or the overall strength of what the community was sent out to do. Provide that, that goosebumps experience. The more normies you get into that equation, you're going to have more pickpockets, more, general things that happen, right? So that's what that's always been there. That was one of the main things that I had seen change over the last several years. Also, with the cost of festivals and shows just hiking up and hiking up and hiking up, so many more sponsorships are coming in, even just to normal shows. So those are the things that I've seen change, for better or for worse. We still get great music. We can still find those vibes with the right people and the right vibe. What have you seen change, for better or for worse?
There's definitely more eyes, right? I think technology has evolved immensely, right? Most DJs nowadays probably less. I mean, there's probably some form of like photography that comes around it, but now they solely rely on everybody's social media, right? If you're ever midway in the crowd or even in the back of the crowd, all you see is, people with their phones up, right?
Right.
And for better or for worse, right? I can't stand it because I don't feel like it's, really people living in the moment. You got artists like Lane 8 who don't even allow cell phones in their shows for people to kind of live in the moment. But most artists I don't want to say prey on that, but that's good marketing right there to allow people to do that because people will put that on their shows. And some people nowadays have really good cameras that will allow for quality videos, quality sound to pop up. And I think that's, for better or for worse, good marketing, but also like, that's just what I've seen change. More people are on their phones. The stages have changed pretty immensely. One thing I've seen is, the extracurricular activities that are done. It is more so evolved into a slouch fest as opposed to a vibes type of festival where most people are peace, love, unity, and respect. Now it's, please don't stay in my area. Please don't stay in my space. There are a lot more people who go there for negative reasons to pickpocket. I mean, I had my phone stolen at Sunset Music Festival 2017. I saw a guy at Bonnaroo 2022 who was dancing forward and backwards, but he had his hands out and he was sliding back and forth, trying to reach into people's pockets. So there's definitely more of a priority towards safety and trying to make sure your belongings and possessions stay near you. But I have seen a lot of improvements, right? There's more medical tents, right? There's more services, water stations, much better bathrooms than what I've seen previously. I mean, gosh, man, there was a point in time where it was like, do you even want to go to the porta potty, right? Like, it might just be better to just
sweat it out.
Sweat it out.
Yeah.
It's changed for the good and for the worse, right? I grew up on a certain brand, right? Like even in basketball, right? People talk about like in the 90s, they grew up on a certain style of play down in the post, and it was the big man's game, but now it's evolved into a three-point competition. Old people, right, like a certain style of basketball, and the new generation and Gen Z like a certain style of basketball, much how in EDM, folks who grew up on certain styles and house and tech house and even festival trap right now, even rhythm and dubstep have probably taken a large portion of the market, right? Like festivals like Lost Land are the festival to go to now. Right. It's because people just love the hard stuff and
the hype.
I like it. It gives new opportunities for new artists, different styles of genres. And man, I'm gonna tell you, I hate rhythm, but every time I hear a rhythm set, I'll stay the entire set. For some reason, I like it. I don't know why.
They're putting something in the tracks. It's the energy, right?
It is.
A lot of people do feed off the energy, and
there's a vibe to it. There's a vibe to it that you have to immerse yourself in. It makes you want to stay.
Yeah, and hopefully stay off the phone, right? That's why for our sets and what we do, we record so you can show someone on the phone what happened in real life, and we don't have to just revert back to. That was the one thing that I noticed. If I try and go back onto my phone and show you a festival experience from 2013, I won't find it because the video quality just wasn't there.
Maybe one or two videos. Now people got whole selections.
All blurry, yeah. So we're going to make a nice selection tonight. We're about to turn on the Rude Boy rig. Glad you could come here for it. Guys, glad you could tune in for it. We're going to have a good exclusive ID set. We've been told that it's all Doc Knox originals, flips, and edits. So here we go. We're going in the mix.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. go.
You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too.
Fucking
one more time and roll. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the wall. Cause sweat drop down my ball. All these bitches crawl. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. Can't wait. Second to me one more time and roll. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the wall. Cause sweat drop down my ball. All these bitches crawl. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, wiggle. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, yeah. Stop. Oh, damn, wiggle with it, wiggle. So fresh, so clean. Then she fuck that question when harassing me in the mind. This bitch is fine. I done came to the club out at the 11 time. Now can I play with your panty line? The club wanna say I need to calm down. She couldn't go and go to swing me now. She get drunk and I'm gonna threaten me now. Second to me one more time and roll. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the wall. Cause sweat drop down my ball. All these bitches crawl. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These motherfuckers. Goddamn. These Sweet dreams, sweet dreams are made of things. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, moving on. Keep your head up, moving on. Hold your head up, hold your head up, hold your head up, hold your head up, sweet dreams are made of the years. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody is looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be listen to it blow, watch the sun rise. Run in the shadows, damn you love, damn you lie. Listen to it blow, watch the sun rise. Run in the shadows, damn you love, damn you lie. And if you don't love me now, you'll never love me again. I can still hear you saying, would never break your chain. And if you don't love me now, you'll never love me again. I can still hear you saying, would never break your chain. Listen to